Hi everybody, welcome to English Digest. Today, I'm Kat.
And I am Pat, and we're talking about something that I am very much at a loss about.
It's NFTs and basically cryptocurrency, although we haven't mentioned that much in this article, but I think we'll talk a little bit about it. And it's a pretty complicated topic, so I think we should just get into it and try and make as much sense of it as we can.
Let's do it. I'm ready to learn.
A 12-year-old British student made a total of £290,000, around 11 million NT dollars, over his summer break by selling non-fungible tokens, NFTs. Benjamin Ahmed created a series of 3,350 unique pixel artworks titled Weird Whales via a program he wrote himself. By selling them as NFTs, Ahmed was able to tap into a growing fascination with a new concept that has become the talk of the internet and the art world alike. NFTs are one-of-a-kind digital tokens that can be compared to trading cards. The term non-fungible means something is entirely unique and cannot be substituted with something else of equivalent value. For example, a can of Coke is fungible, as it's one of millions. However, the Mona Lisa is non-fungible. There's no corresponding item that it can be easily traded for. Similarly, each NFT carries a distinctive digital signature and can't be reproduced. Recently, NFTs have garnered attention from the digital art world as a way to sell digital pieces as singular works. Other non-artwork instances of digital content are also being sold as NFTs, such as memes and videos. But when digital artworks can be viewed online by anyone, why would someone want to buy them the same way a collector would purchase a real-world painting? One reason is the psychology of ownership. If one person owns something, that makes it exceptional and desirable. For artists, the appeal of NFTs is in the opportunities they provide. Until now, digital art lacked the same high esteem and acknowledgement that real-world fine art has, but NFTs could create a market for digital art to become highly valued and exclusive. We've yet to see if NFTs can bring long-term change to the art world, but they're certainly sparking thrilling discussions as a new medium for determining value.
Okay, I'm now clearer on what we're talking about. This is helping me to understand the idea. And this is the title, Could NFTs Introduce a New Way to Sell Digital Goods? Means instead of using like money transferred or things like the Bitcoin transferred or anything like that, could we go for, tell you what, you sell me this and I'll give you this particular kind of token?
Right, which says that you own it.
Yeah, which says that you own it and therefore carries all this esteem and things that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, exactly.
So we start with the kind of idea that brought this idea, kind of a bit of news that people took notice of. There were a few others like this, and it was a 12-year-old British student made a total of £290,000, which is around 11 million NT, over his summer break by selling non-fungible tokens or NFTs.
Well done.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. I was saying to Kat before we started, that could buy 2 very nice houses in my hometown.
You could probably buy one in mine, yeah.
Yeah, a bit less if you're in London or another really big city like that. But yeah, I could certainly live on that for a long time. And he's 12, which probably means he doesn't get access to the money. Not yet.
Well, we don't know. I mean, his parents could be saving it for him. In the article, the source article, it said that they're very proud of him. You know, they've taught him to code from a young age. He's been at it himself.
Yeah, they will put that money in a nice account for 6 years or so, and when he's 18 and ready to go off to university, he can. It's paid for.
Then here's his tuition. Yeah.
Yeah. So he did this. He got this money by selling non-fungible tokens, and we discuss exactly what that means later. So just fungible by itself means it's transferable. It's not particularly unique. It can okay, there's this and it's worth this.
And it's not a commonly used word. I think it's only used in specific contexts like this, where you're talking about whether something can be transferred or exchanged.
Right. I was thinking of examples of like old books, old rare books. If you had an old book, you could sell that old book and so on. But if it was like, say, a copy of all the works of Shakespeare, that's you can buy that, you can sell that, it's going to have a value.
Sure.
But if it's an old Shakespeare with, say, notes by a famous actor in it, that kind of thing, then it becomes a unique piece.
That's right.
Which, yes, you could sell at an auction, but it's a one-off thing. And therefore, the only way to determine its value is to do some kind of bidding auction.
Exactly. And so that means you can't exchange it for something equivalent, because there is no equivalent.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the idea behind fungible or non-fungible. And then we have this word token. So a token is basically, I mean, it can be a variety of things, but it's sort of an item that you exchange for a cash value or hold some kind of cash value. If you go to, like, as a kid, you would go to these places to play and they would have arcade games, and often you would have to exchange some cash for a bunch of coins that you can only use there. Those are tokens.
Yeah, Tom's World up here in Taiwan. If you go to the Tom's World arcades, they have exactly the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, things that can only be used in that certain place or in a certain way, but they do have a certain value that they can be exchanged for.
Yeah, if you buy a single ticket on the MRT, you get those little blue plastic coins.
Yeah, that's a token as well.
Right, and in computing terms, it's actually a unit of data. So it could represent almost anything, a photo, a video, an audio clip, any kind of digital file that's unique that you can identify as a thing.
That makes sense, and that makes sense for, the token to then be non-fungible.
Exactly. So we see Benjamin Ahmed created a series of 3,350 unique pixel artworks titled Weird Whales via a program he wrote himself. So all of these are different and they're created by pixels, which is it's kind of like one little thing on a screen that you then build up to make larger things.
Yeah, one unit of light or color on a screen.
Yeah, I guess... is it like Minecraft has the same sort of thing with pixels?
Yeah, Minecraft looks very pixely. I mean, every LED screen has pixels, basically. You just have to look closely enough to see them. But I think if you zoom in and they look like little squares of color, that's a pixel as well.
Yeah, on older TVs and older computer games, they were a lot more obvious. You could see the little squares, and these days we don't notice them because graphics are so good.
Yes. So, all right. So he created a bunch of these via a program he wrote himself. So it's not like he went in and drew every single whale. He had a program make them, but he still made a series of over 3,000. And then by selling them as NFTs, Ahmed was able to tap into a growing fascination with a new concept that has become the talk of the internet and the art world alike. So basically it means that the thing that he did, he was kind of seizing on an opportunity almost, because NFTs have been getting a lot of talk, like it says, on the internet and the art world alike. If you say something is the talk of something, usually like the talk of the town, it means it's getting a lot of attention, a lot of popularity. I think around this time that we're recording it, Squid Game is the talk of the world. Everybody's watching it, apparently. And so he was able to tap into that. When you tap into something, it's kind of you take advantage of it. You see the opportunity and you take it and are able to kind of make an advantage for yourself with it.
Yeah, it's an existing thing and you've kind of got your part of it now that you can use as if it was a resource.
Yeah.
And we say it's a growing fascination. So here we've got a language point. We're using a progressive adjective that is basically a verb with an ing ending can be an adjective. You can use these to describe anything. An exciting movie, a boring movie, a tiring activity. And you can also use verbs with ed endings as adjectives. Sometimes this is a bit more difficult. You might think of a broken bottle. It kind of describes the state it's in rather than what it's doing right now. So we couldn't say a grown fascination, but we can say a growing one. It is growing right now. It's continuing to get big.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's a fascination that people are kind of talking about more and more. And so we kind of have to explore what an NFT is, because we've got fungible defined, we've got a token defined. Now, put together, what on earth does that mean?
The article says NFTs are one-of-a-kind digital tokens that can be compared to trading cards.
So it says the term non-fungible means something is entirely unique and cannot be substituted with something else of equivalent value. So we've already talked about what fungibility, that's the noun, is. It means it can't be substituted. To substitute something, in this case it's a transitive verb, means that you can't exchange it for something else. You might hear this used to talk about like when your teacher is out sick, you'd get a substitute teacher. That means somebody who's standing in for your normal teacher. So if something can be stood in and still do the same job or have the same value, that's a substitute.
So if you're making a drink, you've got, you could put Coke in it, you could put Pepsi in it. It's going to taste broadly the same.
Yeah, exactly. I guess those are two fungible sodas.
Exactly. So, and we use Coke, or the writer uses Coke in the next example. For example, a can of Coke is fungible, as it's one of millions. Yeah, Coke produces hundreds of millions of cans a day. So it's very easy to say this one is worth, 35 NT.
Yeah.
If you give this Coke, you can get a can of Sprite or something else. They are equivalent in value.
Exactly.
It's very easy to trade it, buy it, sell it. It's got an obvious value that everybody has agreed on.
I can think of an example of a Coke can that is non-fungible, though. You know those Share a Coke ones where you can get your own name on it?
Yeah.
Exactly. That would be, you can't exchange it for another one unless, you get another one made exactly like that. So that could be a non-fungible Coke.
Yeah,
right.
We're talking not just value in money, but value in terms of what it means, how rare it is, all those kinds of things, how unique an item can be.
And we have another example of that here. However, the Mona Lisa is non-fungible. There's no corresponding item that it can be easily traded for. Yeah, many, many copies have been made of the Mona Lisa. There's even been other artworks made by other artists that kind of make fun of it, like Duchamp made a postcard and, said, this is art. But there's nothing that's exactly the same value as the Mona Lisa. There's no corresponding item. When an item is corresponding, that means it's kind of the same in value or the same in what it's worth to you, or basically does the same job. It's almost the same as substitute.
Exactly. There's nothing that you can go, we'll put this in its place and it will be worth exactly the same, and everyone will agree that, it's just the same thing.
Yeah.
Just in a different sort of way, but it's doing the same job. I guess you could think of, if we swap the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper.
But I don't think they're the same value, though.
No, I
don't
at all.
People value one over the other. I'm not sure which. Probably the Mona Lisa is the more expensive of the two.
Yeah, who knows? But there's no easy way to just go, this is the same as this. This can be sold for this much money. This can be traded and swapped about, and there's no problem.
Exactly.
So how does this work in the digital world? Well, we see similarly, each NFT carries a distinctive digital signature and can't be reproduced. So think of a signature. The most obvious way is to how you sign something. You write your name in a special way that really only you should be able to do, and anybody who looks at it will go, that's your signature.
Exactly.
We don't want someone to copy it because that would mean they could sign documents and it would be the same as you signing it. So you make it unique, you make it very special. And here it's a digital signature. So whether that's in the code, whether that's in whatever's in the file, whatever it's got, it's a digital signature existing in the online world that makes it unique. You can't reproduce it, as the article says. You can't just copy the thing. The copy would have some kind of code that says it was a copy, not the original.
Yeah, or, it's something that makes it quite different.
大家好，我是派老师。今天讲解的是1月份 Unit 11 Could NFTs introduce a new way to sell digital goods? 好，现在一起来看看学习重点，请看到第一段。好，请同学呢注意一下第一段的第二句。Benjamin Ahmed Benjamin Ahmed created a series of 3,350 unique pixel artworks 这个句子，请同学把 title 画起来。请注意哦，这里这个 title 的意思就是说，他的这一幅艺术作品这一些抱歉，应该是说这一系列，而不只是这一幅。请同学把 a series of 画起来，这一系列的艺术作品，他们的名字叫做好，所以我们知道 title 意思就是名称为。那请同学务必要注意，这里我们使用的是过去分词，请把 ed 圈起来。这一系列的作品称之为奇怪的金鱼，奇怪金鱼。再来，请同学看第三个句子，有两个地方，请同学注意哦。第一个呢，就是我们 Ahmed was able to tap into 这个动词片语 tap into。Tap into 就是开发、利用的意思。那它刚好我们看看这一句话是什么意思呢？就是 Ahmed 自己写了程式，创作出奇怪金鱼一系列的艺术品。他把自己的创作当作 NFT 出售，刚好搭上一股热潮。也就是说，有越来越多人对 NFT 这个新概念感兴趣。这是网络和艺术界的热门话题。那刚刚老师已经点出来，第一个值得注意的点就是 tap into 这个动词片语是开发利用的意思。第二个，请同学注意到，就是 become 之后有一个 the talk of。the talk of the internet 意思是指网络上热议的话题或焦点。再来，请同学看到句子最后面的 alike 放在句尾，那它不会放在名词前面哦。它这边的意思就是同样地，在网络上成为热议，在艺术界也一样，也同样的成为热议。所以 alike 就是表示前面的也适用到后面。再来，第二段主要是在跟大家解释 NFT 到底是什么，又是如何产生价值的。好，所以请同学看到第一句 one of a kind 请画起来，独特的。再来 be compared to 就是呢和什么来做比较。
All right, we are back with our article on NFTs, this very mysterious but very much talked about kind of digital currency that a lot of people are into these days.
Well, the article says, recently NFTs have garnered attention from the digital art world as a way to sell digital pieces as singular works. Garner here, to garner something, just means to gain it, to kind of build it up slowly, to have that thing coming to you. So people have been giving this thing more attention, and they're going, well, hang on, why not turn digital art of this kind, like real, or I don't want to say real art, but the more traditional forms of art like painting,
Tangible
sculpture.
art.
Yeah, that kind of art, the stuff that we would learn about in art class. Well, why does that have to be the only form of art? Digital art is amazing. It's unique. There are so many possibilities for it. Why don't we start selling them just like people would sell paintings at an auction or go and see them in a museum?
Right, exactly. And, you know, as a digital artist, I can say that digital art is frequently very undervalued because people think it's A, easy to do, that B, you know, it's just kind of anybody can make it, or it's easy to copy, it's easy to steal. And
it's on the internet, so once it's out there, it's basically kind of free, fair game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, not legally, but there are many people who copy art. It's a huge problem. It has been for a long time. And so maybe this could be one way of kind of solving that problem. So that's why it's so exciting for digital artists. Other non-artwork instances, though, of digital content are also being sold as NFTs, such as memes and videos.
It says, but when digital artworks can be viewed online by anyone, why would someone want to buy them the same way a collector would purchase a real-world painting? So there's the question, if it's you can make your own memes. You can go to websites where you just take a popular meme, put your own words in it and post it.
Exactly.
Anyone can view it. So it's not like owning a particular famous painting and, displaying that for your friends? Or is it?
Or is it, right? Because you can still view a painting even after somebody's bought it. So, of course, this is sort of the same thing. It says one reason is the psychology of ownership. Psychology. Psychology has a lot to do with why we pay for things, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's this feeling of, it's mine, I own it, people can check it. Sure, you may have seen it, but I'm the owner.
Exactly.
If one person owns something, that makes it exceptional and desirable. The word exceptional, it means it's kind of outside. It's a really fine example of something. It's an exception to the normal type. So the thing we've talked about, the Mona Lisa, it's an exceptional work of art because it's a great piece of art. There's only one original of it. So owning it, you'd think, wow, that's special, that's unique, that's different. It's not just like, oh, I've seen it, I've been to the Louvre and taken a picture, or I've looked at it online. No, you're the owner. In the same way that owning or having something else that's unique and fancy, you kind of feel like, great, this is exceptional. This kind of sets me apart because I am the owner of this thing and everybody else is just looking.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes it desirable, too. If somebody else owns it, you don't. So it kind of gives you this feeling of missing out a little bit, or it's sort of like a little feeling of loss that we all have when we realize that there's something we can't get. Yeah. And so, ownership is a big thing in this motivation behind buying NFTs or buying art. For artists, the appeal of NFTs is in the opportunities they provide. Yeah, I actually have a lot of artist friends who are very excited about them. Yeah.
Yeah, now we're not talking necessarily financial opportunities, although that could come.
Yes.
But we see that until now, digital art lacked the same high esteem and acknowledgement that real-world fine art has. But NFTs could create a market for digital art to become highly valued and exclusive. And we've touched on this before about, Kat was saying, people look at digital art and saying, well, that's not real art, that's not special, it's just on a computer. You didn't paint that over the course of 6 months.
Actually, you did, but
well, maybe you did, but people don't necessarily realize it.
Yeah.
And so it lacks esteem. Esteem means it's got a lot of respect from everybody in the community. In general, like people on the street, from experts down to just average people, will think this is good, this is high quality, this is what possessing esteem has. People will think it's great, people will know it's great and discuss it as if it's a high quality product of some kind.
That's why you have, high art, fine art, and then you have what's called low art or pop art. And, people have a long debate about that and what constitutes good art and bad art and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but
same with music as well. Like classical music, held in high esteem. People think it's fancy. People think it's, you're an intelligent person if you listen to it. Whereas really a lot of great rock and other kinds of music have the same qualities and have the same stuff that's gone into the composition. They just don't always have the same kind of public sort of feeling of, this is classy.
Yeah, exactly. And along with that esteem comes acknowledgement. To acknowledge something means to kind of say, okay, this exists. This is something that I can give my attention to and maybe give some respect to. So if you give acknowledgement to art, that means that you are saying, this is worth looking at. This is what art is, and I think that this has value. So, yeah, a lot of times digital art, people say, it's easy. I could have made that. All you have to do is do some things on your phone and it's done. But acknowledging the effort and respecting it would be a different thing.
There's also about artist acknowledgement because people go for these famous paintings. Oh, that's a Van Gogh, that's a Rembrandt, that's a Da Vinci and whatever. But you might be going through these digital art. Oh, I know that this is this artist. People will study their techniques,
it's people.
Yeah, they're kind of things that they do, and those people then get the acknowledgement and recognition as being talented.
Yeah, exactly. So NFTs could make this happen. It hasn't necessarily happened yet, but it's sort of becoming a thing, and there are digital artists who've been able to sell NFTs of their work for very high values, maybe the same as this 12-year-old student did, or maybe even more. So we finish off the article by saying, we've yet to see if NFTs can bring long-term change to the art world, but they're certainly sparking thrilling discussions as a new medium for determining value. Yeah, so they're showing, there's a possibility of something changing, or like they might be changing the value of art, changing the way people see art, changing the way people talk about it. So these discussions are said to be thrilling. When something is thrilling, it's very exciting. It's very, want to pay attention to it. It kind of makes your heart pump a little faster. It's like, wow, this is really something that I could look forward to.
Yep, and these NFTs could be a medium for determining value. Here, medium is basically a way of doing something. It's a means. It's something that allows you to do a particular thing. In terms of determining value, it used to be people would go, well, I'll sell you a sheep, and a sheep is worth 8 chickens.
Right.
That was this kind of way of determining value. Then it was like gold. This gold is worth this much silver, or this gold is worth this much corn.
Right.
And then we decided, all right, gold's not the best thing to base it on. Let's make agreements between kind of banks and organizations to say this much is worth this much and this is worth this much.
Yeah.
And they kind of agree it all, different subject. But all of these are mediums for determining value, for an agreement between a large group of people of this is worth this much and this is worth this much, and we can agree on that and therefore make some kind of trade or sale or say this person's wealth is this much, because otherwise money doesn't mean anything unless it's got an agreement between a lot of people. This is what it's worth, this is what it means.
Right.
And NFTs could be a new way to determine value, in this case for art, for artists, for creations.
接续着一样是在第二段这里，请同学看到 Recently NFTs have garnered attention 这个句子。那请同学把这个 garnered 特别标示出来，它有汇聚、收集的意思哦。比方说 Edward garnered ideas and experience from his travels. Edward garnered ideas and experience from his travels. 所以 Edward 其实常常旅游，在旅游的行程中，那他获得很多的想法，还有呢经验。好的，再来请看到第三段第一句 But when digital artworks can be viewed online by anyone, why would someone want to buy them the same way a collector would purchase a real-world painting?请同学特别把这个 the same way 标示出来，它的意思呢就是用同样的方式。那这里同学要弄清楚到底是什么跟什么比。好，首先呢这里是有两件事，第一个呢就是 someone would want to buy them， 这个 them 指的就是 digital artworks 数位艺术品。那第二个呢是什么？就是 a collector would purchase a real-world painting. 收藏家会去购买真实的画作。所以这整句话的意思是，但数位艺术在网络上人人都可以观看，又为什么会有人像收藏家收购真实画作一样购买呢？好，接着请同学看到第三段第5句。Until now 一直到 exclusive 这个句子，这里有几个重点。首先，第一个，请同学看到 esteem 这个字，它就是尊重、认可，或者呢表示推崇的意思。举个例子 ，He was held in high esteem by colleagues。有个很认真工作的同事受到大家的尊重、认可。He was held in high esteem by colleagues。好，再来，请同学特别的注意到哦，我们看到第5句，同样这个句子，但是 NFT 呢，它其实会创造出一个市场，这个市场可以让数位艺术成为高度呢受到重视的艺术品。最后，请看到第6句。We have yet to 这个句型非常的重要，这个 have yet to 其实呢就是等于 we haven't seen 的意思 we haven't seen OK 好，以上就是我们今天的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
We will see you next time for ED. I'm Kat.
And I'm Pat.
Bye-bye.
Bye.